Today we're checking out a new 4X strategy game that's a city building war game, and it's got an anime art style. And let me tell you, I have been waiting for a while to get into an anime style game. So in this video, we're going to do a number of things. I'm going to showcase the way the game looks and some of the features of the game, which includes long range combat, air units that can fly over mountains and drop troops off to join the fight. I think there's a lot about this game which could be really hype. And if you want to get a look at the game yourself, check out the link in the description. As of the time this video is going live, you could start playing right away. So thank you again to the makers of the game, that's Grand Cross Age of Titans, for sponsoring today's video, and check out that link in the description if you want to start playing right away. So now that we've watched the intro sequence for the game, let me show you some of the game footage itself. And there's a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about in this video. In this game, you're going to expand your territory, grow your combat power by progressing through the story. You're going to join or create an alliance of players to play with and capture world objectives together in your server. But of course, you're not done there. Once you take over your server, you take over other servers, and there's server versus server wars. There's, of course, a lot of stuff that I want to talk about and show you in this game. The first thing we're looking at here, however, is the castle siege function of the game. The castle siege is what ultimately determines who runs the kingdom, and there's a series of obstacles that you need to battle your way through in order to ultimately be the ruler of the kingdom. There are a number of different units that are in this game, which includes infantry, archers, cavalry, and combat engineers, or carts. Titans are also a key feature of the game, and they're a special troop. There are also heroes that work well with particular troop types, and you can see some of those heroes and their animations on the screen. Now, not only can you train lots of troops, but you also, of course, are going to make them stronger by upgrading them to overpower your enemies. Now, one of the most noteworthy features of this game is, of course, you can customize your city, but also one of the unit types here is a ranged archer. They can attack enemies from a distance, even over things like rivers and obstacles. And there are also air units that are able to move and attack in the air. They can even fly over a mountain freely, which means that you could get attacked from pretty much anywhere, anytime. And there's also a giant troop called the Titan that can be summoned and has stronger attack abilities than any of the other types. When summoned, the Titan can cause big damage regardless of the terrain, and can even destroy the formation of your opponents, which seems particularly brutal. So there are not only player versus player stages in this game, but there are also single player stages. The PvE style battles teach you how to play the game and also help you build up your combat power and learn how to wield that power. It's a single player game mode, but the player versus player combat typically takes place in the world map, in arenas, and in something called Castle Wars. Now, I'm definitely very eager to learn more about Castle Wars and how that ultimately works. But when you battle in the field, there are a bunch of things that you can ultimately do. This includes battling bosses, which you see now on your screen, gathering resources, working together with your alliance to capture and expand your territory. There are also a bunch of buildings in the world that you can capture, including gates, holy grounds, the royal castle, and other objectives become available as the chronicles advance throughout your server. So this game is going to have chronicles to gate the progress, and there are different zones. In the description here, they're listing outermost zone 1, then zone 2, and zone 3. So this sort of map's design and style is something you're probably very familiar with. And by the way, this footage actually had me really hyped. I showed only a little bit of it here, but initially those Zeppelins fly over the river, over the mountain, and then drop troops down to fight, which is crazy. That actually just seems like there's so many strategic possibilities when you can move your troops in so many different ways. Now, the end game and end goal is ultimately server versus server and Castle Wars. So let me talk about Castle Wars a little bit now as I showcase some of these flying units just zipping right over terrain. The Castle War is a core component of the game and determines the greatest player in the kingdom and makes them ultimately the ruler. This is a dual-layered battle using terrain and gates. You've got land units, air units, and powerful monsters acting as things that can throw a wrench in your plans when trying to take over the castle. The leader of the alliance that does finally the capture becomes the ruler of the kingdom, and occupying the royal castle does give you a bunch of benefits, which, okay, that sounds like the sort of thing we're familiar with. Becoming king of the kingdom has perks. And eventually, you get to server versus server combat, where alliances team up and fight for the glory of their server, and at some point after the server goes live, players are moved to a dimension where the server battles take place. There are, of course, great rewards to be yielded when you battle in server versus server combat, so I'm kind of hyped to see ultimately how this game evolves and to really get my hands on the gameplay and the combat. Because as you can see here, like, this is just one battle with range units fighting over a river. But that didn't even really showcase the Titans, which I've now got on the screen, which have different attacks that are super powerful. And there are a variety of these Titans that you ultimately can go and collect and battle with and power up. And I'm kind of eager to see the different ways that they all specialize, what their abilities are. I'm very eager to get my hands on the game to try them out for myself, because the Titans do seem super powerful, especially when you mix things up in a battle like this. I mean, it looks pretty cool. You've got the heroes leading armies, and then Titans just completely mixing things up, air units flying around, terrain that you need to be considerate of and maneuver around. I think this game and the combat could be really cool. So if you want to check out the game and get early access, check out the link in the description to start your adventure and to get your hands on Grand Cross Age of Titans. Again, your progress carries over into the live game, so starting early just makes sense. And that gives you a huge advantage when the game releases, because games with this style of design for city building war games, I mean, time is your greatest ally in getting free-to-play value. So why not start today? Check out the link in the description, and I'll leave you with just some really cool moments here that were included in the highlight footage, where in this particular clip, they teleported their troops in. In just a moment, we'll watch a speed ability be used. I'm definitely hyped for this game. Check the link in the description, and thank you again to Grand Cross Age of Titans for sponsoring today's video. I'm very much looking forward to playing this game.